What are you dressed up
Gotcha.
for Halloween, Kurt?
I don't know. I thought about being a werewolf, you know?
It's not a full moon right now.
Yeah.
Kurt's a werewolf,
Yeah.
dressed up as a werewolf, but it's not a full moon, so he's just himself.
I mean, I'm a vampire year round, so if I go, I got to change it up a little bit. So,
Yeah, my wife is a ref, so
yeah.
I'm trying to match. I had my Anakin Skywalker costume that I wore a couple days this year, but not gonna lie, it's really, really hard when you need to use the facilities to get.
With the robe.
I don't know how Jedi wore tunics on the daily.
Use the Force.
Maybe that's the factor that I'm missing. Thank you for tuning in to Diagnonsense. I'm Isaac Smolden, and I'm joined by case manager Kurt Honak. Kurt, how you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing great.
Time for another movie review.
Yeah.
Did you have the chance to watch this back?
I might have run through the synopsis.
You just were looking up Watch Mojo clips.
Well,
top 10.
Yeah, I've seen it though.
I mean,
a few times.
I've seen it a couple times. Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty popular, I think, when it came out.
Well, we watched the real life version just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Talking about iRobot, Ozzy's favorite movie. Ozzy hates this movie.
Does it?
Oh, Ozzy does not like this movie.
Ozzy doesn't like this
but
movie?
I think Ozzy just might not like Will Smith. And I think his hatred of Will Smith is blinding him to the fact that this is a pretty cool movie.
I
like taking showers without a shower curtain.
It's it's definitely got that like I don't know, what did I call it yesterday? Like that millennial, like sci-fi.
Early 2000s.
Yeah,
like there's camera shots where they just like attached a camera to a rope and just started swinging it above their head like a lasso spinning around the room. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it's a relevant topic. There's nothing scarier this spooky season than humanity's desire to bring about its own destruction.
With artificial intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just thanks to Mr. Musk, it's just happening in real life now too. He has right down to the stupid buses that are in this movie. He made
That's
buses.
freaking Brian out, I think.
It's freaking me out. What do you mean?
Well, yeah, it should be freaking us all out.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
So iRobot, Ozzy's a hipster, so he says the book is better. The Asimov book is better, which makes me want to read it now.
Yeah, yeah. Usually the books are better.
Usually the books are better, right? But the books don't have Will Smith in them.
That's true.
So, counterpoint. I feel like a lot of people have seen this movie. I don't know how long we want to spend on the plot, but basically Will Smith, future detective. This movie takes place in 2035, so we only have 11 years to get to the point where we have the little ball tires on all of our cars. And we got to ramp it up a little bit if we're going to hit this point in human history where we have robots walking around all over the place.
I think the desire for AI is greater than the desire for flying cars.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
So maybe
there's no flying cars in this movie. They do have robots everywhere, and there's the 3 laws of robotics. Robot can't hurt a human. Robot does what a human being says unless it conflicts with rule 1, and then a robot will always try to preserve itself unless it conflicts with rule 1 or rule 2. Yeah.
First rules.
And those rules work great until apparently they don't when Mr. Smart Robot Doctor Guy shows up dead and Detective Will Smith doesn't like robots because a robot saved his life? ? And there's also, not ? A robot does save his life, but that's why he hates robots. Really?
Because he wanted the robot to pick the girl.
He wanted the robot to save the girl. There's also like some self-hatred themes.
Self-loathing.
Because you find out that Will Smith, he got a robot arm about halfway through. Spoilers also. Dang it. Spoilers. Will Smith has a robot arm. This movie came out in 2004. If I'm spoiling it for you, it's you missed the boat by 20 years.
Is it that old?
Yeah, 2004.
Oh
I know. Well, that's why they have some of the crazy camera
old,
angles. I will say that it's not like the visuals aren't perfect, but for it being from 2004, like it's not the worst looking movie in the world.
Yeah.
It looks all right.
It didn't age like terribly, I don't think.
No. So there's some self-loathing themes in there. And Will Smith, he's got to solve the mystery. He meets they have the new line of robots that are coming out, and everyone loves the robots. And these robots don't even have to update their software. They just are on a direct link from the main interface. And then all of a sudden, there's one robot named Sonny. He calls himself Sonny because he has become self-aware. And Will Smith thinks that he might be the person that killed Mr. Smart Doctor Guy. So they have to track him down, and they're trying to figure out how could this robot have broken the 3 rules? And it turns out that it was all part of the plan of Mr. Smart Doctor Guy to show.
I will show the world my intelligence with my own death.
But, well, kind of, because you think it's evil CEO man, but really the main antagonist is the central computer that has decided that humans, the robots need to save humans from themselves.
Right.
Which is the plot of any good robots are taking over the world storyline.
Yeah, it's the plot of any good totalitarian storyline, actually.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah, basically, we
have to save you from yourself
we have to
by
save
killing you.
We have to save you from yourself, so now we are taking over in a fascist dictatorship. Congratulations, you are being rescued. And then, you know, and this is where Ozzy doesn't like the movie, then they have to do some action hero stuff to save the world.
Yeah.
They kill the robots and
Right.
the end. What I got out of this movie, this time watching it, was, and the reason why I wanted to watch it is because of the Tesla robots, of course, because the buses look exactly like they do in iRobot, and something that...
Do you think he took inspiration from that?
100%. I think he took inspiration from that. I think he revels in this. One thing that Mr. Musk said was that someday robots are going to be like a car. You're going to spend $30,000 and you're going to have a personal assistant that can wash the dishes and do the laundry and babysit your kids.
Yeah.
And it's insane. It's truly insane.
Yeah, and just like a car, it's going to continue to develop technology until I don't know. So I'm driving a newer vehicle, and yeah, it's all.
Kurt got a new car, folks.
Well, it's all, your seats like vibrates in the direction of of stuff in your proximity, and like just like a new car. Yeah, it won't stop innovating until it's.
And until it
drives itself more than I drive. No.
Well, but with all this innovation, I think we here are experiencing kind of the fallout from the first wave of parents that had technology that did not grow up with certain technology and then had to raise kids. Yeah. In the era of that technology.
Right.
And there are a lot of warning signs around, like, oh, maybe sitting my kid in front of an iPad for 20 hours a week is actually really, really bad. Right. And, maybe we shouldn't be letting people have all the screen time that they want and spend every day online. Yeah. Maybe that's not healthy. Man, maybe social media is actually really, really bad for us. This is all stuff that we've talked about, but
well, it's the transhumanist issue where if if a human being is an organism and you're integrating, we don't think of an iPad as part of our nervous system, but if you're integrating all these systems into your nervous system and the iPad is part of you as an organism, the car is a part of you as an organism, and psychologically the implications for that, right? And I think that's what iRobot tries to explore. And in Blade Runner, The Matrix, you know, it's like, where does your nervous system end and begin, and do we consider that as a part of us? Because it's like Elon Musk said, right? I mean, your phone is already a part. We're already cyborgs, right?
Right.
We already have our smartphone as part of our body, pretty much, to a degree that, like, if you don't have it now, like, try navigating maps with like go try to get a paper map, like, you know, you might have been able to get one a few decades ago anywhere, but less and less you're gonna have that, less and less ordering food, ordering a Uber, ordering, you know.
Yeah, and it's not really the main theme of the movie, because the main theme of the movie is look out, the robots are taking over. But you know, you see all these personal assistants and all the people relying on these robots to do all these menial tasks that they don't want to do anymore, right? And you can kind of see how it is making society worse in a lot of ways, I think, in kind of subtle ways that they've put throughout the movie. And in light of the recent real life news, which I can't believe is real life, I think that's something that we have to watch out for. I mean, you can't have robots raise your kids. I don't know what that will look like, but I already know that where we're at right now, if you have robots try to parent your kids, it is going to lead to some serious problems. And that's
are we already there with YouTube and with like as we're on YouTube, but
yeah, I mean, but
you know,
we gotta, it's definitely intimidating, because your scientists spent so long wondering if they could, they didn't stop and wonder if they should.
All right, Jeff Goldblum.
You know, we are so focused on innovation and technology. You know, kind of as technology increases, we are exponentially, you know, innovating and creating new and exciting ways to ruin our brains. And in some ways, you know, we wouldn't be doing this without, you know, the technology that we have. And there's a lot of great ways that, you know, smartphones and social media can connect people, but there's also a lot of unintended consequences.
Yeah, for sure. And
sometimes those consequences are robots taking everyone and putting them in internment blocks for their own safety.
Well, that's where I think the movie, centrally the movie, it's not, I don't think maybe less central is the transhumanist themes as it is the class struggle between the robots and the humans, and the ideas of revolutionary change in that. The
robots are kind of like third-class citizens, and then every human has become a second-class citizen as a result of the robots taking all of like the, you know, the poor's jobs, right? Like, oh, well, now that we all have the robots to do it, we all just are lovely middle-class families. But also, then you look, like, that's how, like, the society at the beginning of the movie outwardly is portrayed, and then you kind of look around and you look at people's apartments and how they're living, and it's like, man, it kind of seems like you're in a worse position than you would have been without the robots if you were working those jobs. So
well, this is the same, and this is thematic. So like, I think these ideas, like I'm thinking like enlightenment, liberty, right? So first of all, we have to challenge the question becomes what determines what is human, and if we identify human as only psychological characteristics within biology, which we, you know. But I think the second part is with the class struggle. We've seen that in human societies where it's like there's like an upper class, middle class, lower class. There's some kind of revolution, or there's some kind of like power disparity that gets played out. And I really like movies like iRobot and Blade Runner had that too, where you know that the idea is like if a machine shares enough of what makes it human with human beings, then is it entitled to the same rights as a human being? And can we abuse technology in the same way that we abuse human beings? And should we be aware of that? Yeah. And that's another question that we're, you know, I think that there's been lots of like books and movies and pop culture that's talked about that over the last couple decades, but now we're getting to the point where we're actually having to where we have to, everyone's like, oh crap, we actually have to have this conversation. You mean that's now. Real? You mean that's really happening? Right, because we have, you know, with but it's always how fast AI has developed in the last couple of years. Now it's like, all right, so now we have to start actually wondering, having this conversation of, and you know, that's a theme in the movie as well, because Sonny is obviously sentient, right? And Vicky is too, to an extent. Yes. Although I would argue that Sonny is more sentient than she is. She is
still operating off of her programming and a logic as she sees it, where I think Sonny, like, he can dream. He has the ability to dream, right? Yeah. So he's a little more illogical than I think some of the other robots in the movie. But they have that conversation of, okay, well, are you a person or are you just still a robot? And something that Detective Spooner says, I don't know why I'm calling him detective. Well, something that Will Smith says is, can a robot write a symphony? Can a robot make a beautiful piece of art? And then Sonny just goes, can you?
That's such a great, it's such a great part.
So, I mean, yeah.
Well, as we're finding out with country song AI is that actually it can write music.
Yeah. So there's, it's a movie that it probably isn't perfect, but I think that the last time I saw it, we were in a little bit of a different place in the world. It had been a couple of years, and I think that it's worth a rewatch now.
Yeah,
and with some added context in the last, I'd say 5 years or so.
Yeah,
I watched it very differently than I had the last time that I saw it.
Yeah,
it was a little less. There was a little less fiction in the science fiction than there was the last time I watched it.
Yeah.
Because we've developed some of the technologies that are in that
like
movie.
You watch that as a kid and you're like, wow, that's so cool. And then they have all these things. And then that's like, I'll be gone by the time all this stuff happens. And then,
right.
We're here.
Yeah. Their phones still kind of suck, though.
That's like the Fallout thing,
crazy?
Where like some of the technology is like super developed, and then some of it there's like a power disparity in the technology, in the personal tech. Yeah,
it's always an interesting thing of like, man, there's all this crazy stuff that they thought that they were gonna have, and the one thing that no one could have ever predicted is just having a smartphone. Everyone wearing a stupid watch with a screen on it that has all the capabilities of my phone on it. No, but we thought we were going to have flying cars and we thought that the flying cars would be more impactful than that technology when in fact it probably is not.
Yeah.
So that's a different conversation for a different time.
Yeah.
Anyway, any closing thoughts, Kurt?
I just think, that's something that, as we're developing this more intimate relationship with technology, that will have to be on our radar is the idea that there's this idea that I saw recently. I got to explore it more, where the Japanese think that there's like a soul in inanimate objects.
Ghost in the Machine.
Yeah, Ghost in the
Machine.
Machine.
And they touch on that in the movie.
And that's something as we expand our nervous system digitally, that we'll have to be aware of, that we'll have to be much more conscientious about our interactions, I think, with technology. And that what scares me the most, I think, about this, since we're in a spooky season, is the ideas of, Blade Runner. A lot of those ideas were built off of Enlightenment and sort of like, some of these Western ideas where we've already experienced this within biology and within human civilization. And so, but we haven't always fixed it, or it's an ongoing issue. It doesn't really get solved. It's just like the problem of good and evil, right? As long as you have free will, you're going to have good and evil. And so that's the scary part, right? Is that it's not something that we can go to sleep on and not, that we can ignore, because it is a prescient issue, or it is, continues to be a problem for as long as we have free will. So
maybe we should just take all our free will away, then we wouldn't have that problem.
Well, Kurt. That's a Clockwork Orange. That's a different film.
Next time. Remember, nothing is scarier than the human condition. Happy Halloween.